Hi, and welcome to Kate's Kitchen Party. We are here at Sweet Ophelia's on King Street East in Brockville. And I have with me today Jordan.
Hello.
Welcome. Thank you so much for coming to have a coffee with me and getting to know me.
My absolute pleasure.
I would love to give you a chance to just introduce yourself maybe and tell me a little bit about you.
Sure. So my full name is Anthony Jordan Gow, and I'm originally from Ottawa. I've only been living in Brockville for the last about 5.5 months now. And I originally came here after leaving school in Montreal because I was struggling with a substance use disorder, addiction as it's commonly known.
Okay.
I also have severe ADHD, so me and coffee don't usually hang out, but that's okay.
Exception
for our purposes. I'm good. But I made the decision to leave school, and I came here, and truly I didn't know what to expect. I just knew that. So a bit about my history. I'd previously been to treatment for this about 14 times since my early 20s. Yes, and I don't know if it was something inside of myself that changed or just the way I was approaching it when I got here. But in the 5 months since, I've not only made tremendous amounts of spirit, like physiologically, like all of that stuff just seemed to disappear, but spiritually, the growth that I've experienced here has been far and above the most important part. And a really huge part of that growth has been, at least for myself, reconnecting with my creativity. To me, music, I'm a singer-songwriter and have been since I could play guitar. But the music that I started writing when I came here seemed to be a way of speaking to that part of myself, call it the soul, the spirit, whatever, your heart, that I'd been disconnected from for so long through my struggles with addiction and all the trauma and pain and stuff that goes along with that. And here I found, by connecting with people like the people at Live from the Mic and just all the brilliant like artists and stuff, like the chain reaction of my friend telling me about making a a dream catcher for Meg, who owns Wild Little Roses, led to someone canceling at the night market and me playing there, led to her asking me to play at the street festival, led to when I had the initial idea for this Halloween Hope Festival, me going to her to get ideas and to get help and guidance on how one goes about doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's just been like this
Kismet or like fate or like divine intervention.
I mean,
in a way, I guess.
In a way, yeah. Well, like I was actually, one of the things that I do a lot is like if a word like inspires me in the morning, like at the Brock Cottage where I'm staying, we have like our morning group or whatever. And this morning, since after the show, which happened on Thursday, I went back to Ottawa to be with my family for my nephew's first birthday.
Yeah.
And that's actually the first time that I've met my nephew since he was born. And, you know, that's probably the greatest gift that I've gotten so far, has been being able to be a member of my family again. Like,
especially with that little dude too, right?
Oh man, he's
baby.
So adorable, Theo.
They just do something. I remember the first time I met my first niece. I have a 3 nephews and a niece. And the first time I met her, she was the first time I became an aunt. And I had been at sea for a while. And so I didn't meet her until she was, I think, closer to 3 months old. But when I finally did get to meet her, I broke down. It was like nothing I've ever experienced before meeting her.
That's such an interesting, that you were at sea.
Yeah.
That's such an I make that connection to, I felt like even though I was in Montreal or going to school, or at times I was in Ottawa, I was never actually there.
Adrift.
Part of me was always somewhere else, always wanting to be somewhere else. And I found that coming here allowed me to, it's funny, I said this morning in our group, but I was able to free no, I can't remember what it was.
It's okay.
Yes. I had to essentially let go of who I thought I was and trying to recover that.
Yeah.
And find who I know I am.
It's a really hard thing to do, to learn who you are and to learn to actually love yourself. I remember when I was like in my 20s and 30s, you always hear people say, oh, you need to learn to love yourself before someone else can love you. Those kinds of it never really made sense to me. And this notion of loving yourself, it really, really didn't make any sense to me at all. Cause I did not like myself much for a big chunk of my life. I really, I didn't like how I looked. I didn't like how I felt. I didn't like what I was doing. And so, as I got older and became more confident and started kind of prioritizing myself a little bit more and actually pursuing the things that I loved, it was in those moments that I actually started to let go of that I don't want to say self-hatred, but really that's what it was. And start to appreciate things about myself that I never appreciated before, right?
Yeah.
And it takes a long time to learn that because nobody can teach you that.
No, it's not something that's taught. In fact, it's almost, I wouldn't say it's actively discouraged, but well, for me, what you were just describing sounds like my experience and so many people who I know's experience in addiction, feeling alone in a room full of people, having something inside of you that just is not fulfilled, and just not being connected with who we really are. And at least for myself, what substances did, or it didn't really matter the substance, because the addiction in itself was only a symptom. It was the result of this disconnect from, again, the spirit or the soul or whatever it was, where I was seeking this sort of illusion of safety around me.
Yeah.
But what you're just saying, learning to love myself, and how hard it is.
It's really hard.
I think that disconnect bred a certain amount of, as you were just talking about, it bred a certain amount of dissatisfaction with who I was, or who I thought I was. What I realized is that who I thought I was wasn't actually who I was. It was just this amalgamation of who I thought I was supposed to be, who you thought I was, who I thought you thought I was.
And whole question of identity, right?
Yeah, this question of identity. That's, back to the thing that I looked up this morning, was the definition of the word hope. And it's a desire, not so many words, it's a desire that we cherish.
Yeah.
And my desire was to find a way to have a life that I felt was worth living, to find some value and some worth in myself, intrinsically. And I guess the part for me that started to give me hope, or turned it into like a hope and a faith and a belief that I actually could, was learning to love that process.
Interesting.
Was learning to cherish like the moments that were teaching me things about myself, the moments of change and of growth that I saw, not only in myself, but in all the guys around me that I live with. And especially, and it became very apparent, just to circle all the way back to what I started talking about at the beginning, it became very apparent in my music.
Yeah.
That what I was singing about, what I was writing about, were intentions from my heart, about finding that hope, and about being able to share it.
I think it's really interesting that you're talking about cherishing those moments of growth, because more often than not, you talk about having to grow. Like, growth requires you to step out of your comfort zone, right? It challenges you.
Yes.
And it can be very scary, growing and changing. And so to find the ability to kind of cherish those moments where you're not entirely comfortable, or you're vulnerable, or you're opening yourself up to something new, it's a really, really beautiful and profound thing. And I think that a lot of people really probably still struggle with that, but it's possible. And just like this show, it's scary. It's for me to do this, right? For you to do this. I called you yesterday and I was like, help, I need somebody, right? Yeah. And here you are. And it's these moments of something new, something different. But again, when you jump right in and you embrace the moment, something really beautiful can come from that. Maybe somebody listening who's struggling with addiction, or who doesn't like themselves, can hear this conversation and be like, holy crow. Yeah. There are other people in Brockville who feel this way.
Yeah, I mean, fear was truly the thing that kept me, for lack of a better term, sick for so long.
Yeah.
And fear of change is a very natural and human thing.
Yeah.
But it's also like everything changes literally all the time.
Literally, yeah.
And what you said about like just jumping right into this thing.
Yeah.
I could have got in my head about it. I could have thought oh, am I going to look okay? Or is she going to like me? Or are people going to care about what I have to say?
Yeah.
But that has never served me in the past. And it's one of the lessons that I've learned, that something that makes me uncomfortable is not necessarily something that I need to fear. Yeah. It's telling me something about myself, and learning to pay attention to that, and cherish was just the word that I saw in the dictionary. But what is cherishing something but appreciating it? That's really at a very deep level.
That's a beautiful way of looking at. It's a beautiful perspective. I'm just going to pause here for a minute. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll keep diving into this, because I think this is awesome. I'm really enjoying our conversation.
Me too.